Coach Elder from Minnesota Throws Coach. We're going to be starting to work out of the back of the ring now. So in this first video, we'll talk about posture. We'll talk about loading once again. That's a really important aspect here. We'll talk about a couple different ways to exit the back, and we'll talk about things that are givens and things that I have a little bit of stylistic type approaches to them. First thing I want to talk about is loading. So as you're filming yourself, whether you're a coach or an athlete here, the important part about loading is getting that weight all the way shifted over to your left side. So you can see right here, I'm in the middle. I've got to have that shift of weight. So if I drew a line right down the center of my body, and you can do that digitally, which would be fantastic, that your weight has to shift so that your weight is over that left side. So your left side is your pivot point. And as you turn around that pivot point, it's got to stay central to being over that pivot point. If it's not central and you try to turn, it's like a top turning when it's wobbly. It's just not going to work very well. There's going to be a whole bunch of technical things that happen because we're not loading properly. Okay, so load is number one. Number two, now that this becomes one of those stylistic things. The load is the given. That has to happen. The stylistic part is in shot. Where is your upper body? So you could have a really upright body stance where your shoulders are directly over your hips are directly over your feet, and you'd exit much the same way. We'd wind, we'd load, we'd stay very upright, and we'd come out of the back in that very upright stance. The next way would be kind of halfway between the two extremes. A lot of times you'll see throwers bend out just a little bit. They'll butt out just a hair, just a touch. They'll bend over. Some coaches will call it coverage, meaning your shoulders are partially covering your knees, and they'll exit from right there. But once they get to the middle, you'll see that hip extension, especially from the middle of the ring to the front of the ring, where their shoulders will come back up to an upright position. The third way, and this is a very old school way, is to lower the chest and really get down and come out of the back with a much lower stance. And the thought is you're bringing the ball through a larger radius and trying to accelerate that ball through a larger path by pushing it outside the circle. So a lot of the stylistic approaches will depend on what kind of kid you have. If they can do those things, then great. If they don't like them, if they're not comfortable with them, then that makes it a little bit tougher. When you watch videos, Kovacs, Krauser, Romani, Walsh, they all have different entries. If you want to go and watch the videos on those guys, they all have quite a bit of difference in their entries. So take that into consideration with your kids, but upright is going to be the easiest place to start. And as you get more bent over, it gets a little bit more difficult, and technical things can happen that are not great as you come around the corner there.